Hi, I'm Jason Breach from the Axminster Skills Centre. We're going to look at the hinge jig, show you how this goes together, how it works. Quite a simple little item. You need a router to use it with as well, a few other things, but we'll go through those as we get to it. So let's get you in to come and have a look. So when we get the jig out of the box, a few components. You get a template, a backstop. These two little discs are used when you do the door architrave in the frame. These two are the lock bolts. So we need to assemble it. Now for the cut we're going to do on the door, we're going to use the back support and the jig. These need to be put together. So little disc, the screwing goes down through into the hole. That's quite important on this. When you put this together, you get this the right way round. So we do the screws up, we'll show you what we're looking at. So just gently tighten those. So we turn this over. You've got this pattern back on here. This is designed to grip. The other side is the inside that's important. I'm hoping you can see this A that's embossed into here. Looks nice and clear. That has got to line up on the front of the jig. That's the important side for you. Why? Because first, or the metal disc, if you did a straight line down through, the top of the metal disc on here is parallel with the board. Okay? So you've got to be sure that you've got this on the correct way round with the A facing the front. What does that allow us to do? Well, this allows everything to be adjusted. Okay? So having got our adjustment, we can now set the jig up. First thing you want to look at is what size hinge you're going to want. It will do a number of sizes. We've got 4 down through. From memory you can do 5" down to 2". We can go down to 1, we can get sneaky, we'll show you a tip. We're going to use a 4" hinge. With our hinge, you want to open it out. You can lay it into the jig. This bracket is adjustable. So we undo it, we can move it. Now the important thing here now is this mark, 0. That's really important that you go to that point. Don't go measuring right down to this bottom step. We want to go to the 0 point. So we put our hinge, I've opened it out, I can sight it across the top, lay it into the 0, push the lamp stop back down, just gently tighten this up. There is meant to be this gap, we'll lead to that, explain why that's there. So we've set the length up. We can set up now the depth for the hinge, how deep we want it to go in. Very simply done. So again, we've opened our hinge out. We slide it into the recess on here, so you've got the rebate, you put the knuckle with the hinge face down, you move the little silver aluminium disc in and out. So let's just loosen this a little bit. So you can see we've got all that movement. So we do one end, come down to the other end, we undo, we want to keep this nice and parallel. So again, come back too far, wind it forward. Tighten those up. Just check that looks good. That'll give us our parallel line down our door. So that's the basic jig assembled. The other two little aluminium discs are really when you do the door architrave. So you would actually pin that onto the door frame using the holes with some nails or braddles to pin it onto the frame, so you can't have the back support. So that's the basic jig assembled. What else do we need to make it work? You will need a 12mm straight cutter. Onto there you will also need a 16mm guide bush. Now depending on what router you have, you might struggle to find a 16mm guide bush. So you can buy threaded guide bushes and adapters. So for my scenario, that's the easier way of going. So I can put my guide bush together. That will give me a 16mm guide bush and a 12mm cutter. Those you need to load into your router. So to mark our hinge on the door, we need to be about 6" up from the bottom. So I can use the ruler, square, just draw a line. Only need one. We can then put the jig on. Now I said about the A's, they're there, okay? They have got to face the door, so I've got to turn the jig round, goes on. We then need to clamp this in place. So with my line, it's there, I can bring that up to that line. We can put our G-clamp on. Do one the other end as well. So we have the jig done. With the router and the cutter, we now need to set the cutter depth. So the real easy way of doing this is take the depth stop up out the way, gently push the router cutter down onto the door. You've got a gap at the moment in between the 12 stop. I can turn it round, create a bit more of a gap. We then get our hinge we're going to use. We've opened it out again. We're going to lay that into that gap so you can get a bit more access. Push the depth stop down, lock it off. That'll give us our start point to check our depth for the cut. Undo the cutter, bring it back up. When we set up the hinge lamp, we said about the 0 line, there's a gap obviously between the 0 and the bottom of the jig. Why is that there? The guide bush is 16mm, the cutter's 12, so there's 2mm either side. So the point from 0 to the end of the jig is 4mm. So that gives you that offset either end of where the guide bush is going to go round. So we've set everything up there. We now need to cut our joint. So a couple of other things I can try and add. Put the extraction in, keep the dust down. Cable, earmuffs, and you want your goggles. So, down towards that. We come in the far end. We've cut our recess in here, so we came in the far end this end just to stop the breakout in the corner. We come out. All I'm visually checking now is that we've taken out all that material nice and clean. Okay, so we've got our step. We take our clamps off. We can check our hinge length. A little bit of a fluff line on the end, we'll get rid of that. That'll go. So next thing we need to do is square the corners up. So, simple wood chisel. Not a lot to cut out. Be patient or you'll tear the back corner. Put our hinge in. That's nice and flush. If you want to go deeper, you extend the depth with the cutter. If you're happy with it, you're going to fix it in place. So simple centre drill. So there you go, nice clean fitted hinge, nicely fitted all around the edge. Okay, so we cut a hinge for a door. It's quite amazing how versatile this is and how quick this is to set up. We did 4-inch hinge. So everything you set relates to that 0, the lamp stop and the bar off the side. So 4-inch, we want to go 3-inch, let's just slacken the ends. We know our lamp stop slack, so smaller hinge, you just do the same thing. You go in, slide the lamp stop, tighten it up. We'll do the same here. So you can adjust that back stop. So the edge of the hinge, the knuckle, is in the rebate. That's pushing that little silver disc. Same the other end. So in the manual it'll tell you can go right down to 2 inches. I've managed to cut a little 1-inch hinge. How and what's the problem? The first problem really is the fact the lamp stop doesn't go far enough. But you can always increase the length, a little bit of MDF. So all I did was make that fit in the gap, set our hinge length down to the 0, I'm blocking the camera a bit, then tighten up the silver bracket on the screw again. So when you machine this, you have got to have the bit of MDF in place. That will sit on the door frame quite nicely, you can run across it. So there are ways of actually adding something like that to allow you to go a lot smaller on your hinge. Again, this will actually go small enough over to take that hinge straight off. So it is possible to do other size hinges just by adding something as a spacer. So hopefully that's given you an idea of what this will do. Quite a versatile little jig.